I think one of the reasons my show is so popular is very few people try anything similar. There are no phone-in shows. The only time that members of the public can have their voice heard are on long-established programmes like Question Time, in which by and large the questions are pre-decided, who's going to speak has been predetermined. The whole thing is stage managed. Well, I'm doing live television, taking calls from the public. The one thing we know beyond doubt is I don't know what they're going to say, therefore nothing is pre-decided. It is a genuine, open conversation, and the reason that's important is because everything else is a lie. It's just a construct. Everything else is constructed by BBC people who want people to say this or that, or ITV people. This is a true third wall show, that third wall behind the camera lens where the people are hiding, the viewers. I don't know what they're going to say, and I think that's fascinating. It's a very fine line to balance out opinion and editorial objectivity. People think they know what my opinion is because they've seen me say what I think on television, but I could be just saying it as devil's advocate. My job at the end of the day, as far as I'm concerned, is to question every assertion made both by myself in my introductions and what the panel says. So I have to know all the little facts, the weird, odd facts perhaps that don't get an airing in mainstream media, try and learn as many facts as I can. Then when people make their arguments, I try and destroy their arguments live on air. And sometimes I can't. Sometimes the audience will phone in, the viewers will phone in and destroy my argument or a panel's argument. People change their mind all the time. I find, personally speaking, rather selfishly, the most exciting times are when I change my mind, genuinely change my mind. To come to the programme thinking, right, I know what I feel about this and I'm going to make the case, I'm going to make my arguments based on what I know, and then someone comes on the phone and totally throws a curveball at you and you're left thinking, oh, yeah, you're right. We've got to be careful about asserting what journalism is supposed to be all about, but I entered journalism because I believed journalism was about questioning and finding out the truth and exposing the truth to the light. And what I've found is that completely the opposite, that by and large our national newspapers tend to want to smother the truth and present you with a very partisan, biased angle. Put it this way, after 15 years working on national newspapers, I know not to believe that much about what's written in there on political issues. By and large, I'm not saying the stories aren't true, but with political issues, the newspaper proprietor, the owner, has a view. Now, at the moment, we're heading towards an EU referendum. It is pretty obvious that the majority of our right-wing proprietorial-owned press are taking a out-of-Europe proprietorial angle. I don't think that that angle is in the best interest of the people. I'm not saying it's right to be in or out of Europe. I don't, at this moment in time, have a personal opinion. But what I know is that the interests of the people that own the newspapers are different from the interests of the people that read them. And therefore, it's important that I come out and challenge the assertions that are made in newspapers. People will say, I've read it in the Daily Mail, as if that means it must be true. But the Daily Mail is only telling you why it's great to leave Europe and why staying in Europe would be really bad, because that's what the family that own the Daily Mail want people to vote. It's not in the best interest of the average man or woman in the street who buys the Daily Mail, it serves the proprietor. So newspapers are very disingenuous. They talk about free speech, but then they want free speech to attack their political opponents. They abuse free speech. And I very much like to think of myself as a champion of true free speech, where people are encouraged to question what they are being told by the establishment. And I think newspapers are very much the establishment. I don't think you could say that about a Channel 5 daytime show, even one that's been around for a decade and a half. I think we've proven by the fact that we've been here for more than 15 years that there is a market out there for these shows. I mean, our audience figures are pretty much on a par with Newsnight. Now, Newsnight you read about all the time because it's generally speaking people from Oxbridge and Cambridge from private school backgrounds talking to other people from Oxbridge and Cambridge from private school backgrounds about the business of government. It doesn't really allow ordinary people in. And yet we're having the same kind of discussions where we don't have people from the establishment, we have members of the public getting involved. The conversations are just as interesting, just as illuminating, and they're also accessible to people. So I think there is room for more of this kind of thing. Unfortunately, I would suggest the ruling elite that rule our media in ever more present numbers, from Oxford, Cambridge, private school educated, don't want ordinary people to have a conversation. It's not in their interests. How will they get all their mates on from school and university if you actually democratise television?